We are here at SweetWater Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia. We're on the patio enjoying the gorgeous weather, and we're going to talk about the 420 Fest coming up in the Experience tent. We have head brewer Nick Nock with us. Nick, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing well. How about you?
Good, good. And we have the man in control of the woodlands, Nick B. Nick, how are you, sir?
How's it going?
Good, good, man, good. We've just got into one of the beers that's going to be here, one of the collaborations that you're putting in the Experience tent at 420 Fest. This is IPPPPA.
That's
right.
That
right? Can you tell us about this one, Nick?
Sure. So we did this with one of the bands that's playing at the festival. Real big up-and-coming band, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, hence the P's. In all honesty, we could probably throw another P in there for Indian Pigeons Playing Ping Pong Pale Ale. But so they came to us, and the beers that they enjoy are like sessionable, about 5%, but they like the Indian Pale Ale side of things, like a session IPA. So that's the basis, and that's what we started with.
And that's, how many P's is too many, though? Do you think 4 is maxing out? Could you go with 5 there?
Yeah, so. I think 4 is fine.
And then I tell you what, just to back up a little bit, for those that may have not been to the festival before, the SweetWater Experience tent, what is that all about?
So the whole purpose of the SweetWater Experience tent is basically to experience Sweetwater. And we want to make it like a one-off type place, a place that you can enjoy and sample some of our Sweetwater wares that the only place you can get it is there. So we do a lot of these small batch brews like the IPPPPA ale and the other 15 behind it.
Right, right. And that's a lot of times you will have collaborations that you do with the bands there.
We've started doing that recently, and that's really cool. It's definitely cool to put the beer with the music and making the beer with the people that actually make the music and, you know, feeling their vibes and putting it together.
Enjoy the beer while you listen to the band out there at the festival, right?
It's a pretty good layout, too. It's a good, at least dozen beers, right? Or maybe even more than that at this point.
Experience tent?
Yeah.
I think it's 20 something. Is it 25 or 30 or so? They do a pretty good roll there. And Nick B, as the man in control of the woodlands, you do a lot of the barrel aged, the sour, funky,
that's right,
all of those kind of beers. What's the woodlands going to have in the Experience?
We've got a few different things. We've got some barrel aged stuff. We're going pretty heavy with the fruited Berliners because of the weather, obviously.
Right.
Which isn't wood, but still, you know, in my purview. We've got some really interesting barrel-aged beers, too. One thing I'm pretty excited about that didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we did a barrel-aged lager, light lager, which, you know, is not very common. But
barrel-aged light lager, huh?
It actually turned out really great.
Okay.
It was not in the barrel very long. Didn't take long to pick up, but it's really interesting to taste it, and you actually, I mean, it's like you're tasting inside of the barrel.
I was going to ask you about that because it's showing on our list as the guide beer, right?
It is guide
it's the
beer,
same beer, just in a barrel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have not had barrel-aged guide beer, of course, but guide beer's a really nice beer.
It's an interesting take on the guide beer, and you know, it was actually aged it in the cooler, so it's never really been warm.
Okay.
So that was interesting, barrel aging in the cooler.
Now, a light lager in wood, did you use beechwood barrels?
These were, yeah, right.
We used corn syrup.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. Now, Nick, you brought a visual aid for us there. We got a jar of goodies on the table.
Did.
What's happening over there?
So, going back to Pigeons Playing Ping Pong Ale, we got together with them and we talked. They wanted to do a session IPA, and I was just like, all right, well, what do you like in your beers? And we started talking. Then all of a sudden, they said, you know, well, can we put bird food in there? And I was like, well, wait, let's look into this. So I looked up to see what pigeons eat.
I don't think you want to put that in. I'm thinking of penguins. I was like, I don't think you want to put that in the beer. So,
Pigeons Playing Penguins.
Oh, yeah,
but but it turns out the pigeons eat seed, which is real easy because malt is basically a seed, so we can cross that one off the list. They eat berries, so we threw around a couple ideas of what berries we would want in this beer and came up with blackberries, so there's a slight hint of blackberry in there. And then I threw something out that I didn't know how they were going to take it, and I was like, well, you know they eat insects. So I was like, how about some crickets? and they jumped on it. I wasn't too sure about it, but they jumped on it. So yes, this beer has crickets in it.
This beer that I'm sipping right now has got.
Oh yeah, you just drank
crickets in it.
I didn't notice that there are crickets in that jar. Oh my goodness.
There are crickets
Let's
right
see.
here.
We'll have to get a good picture of that one to share.
Why don't you take the top off and eat one?
We have crickets on raspberries, hops, and grains. So this is the malt bill for
This
the
is
beer.
this
Right?
before that.
Until about 30 seconds
All right.
ago, I was a big fan of this beer.
Brian, do you want one of the crickets to pair with the beer?
You know, I think I get the cricket tones out of the
You get-
beer.
you
I think
get
they're
the
well
notes in
presented
there?
as is.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I did not get a insect flavor, but I don't really know what insects taste like for the most part.
It's
probably
the
a good thing.
new thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think crickets are fairly common in certain parts of the world
It's
for
a
people
thing,
to
yeah.
eat, right? I had a friend that went to Mexico, and I believe they said that was a dish there that he tried. I don't know how out of the park it was in Mexico, but he tried it down there. So
I was down in Thailand years and years ago, and the street vendors, there were actually various fried insects that had been charred right there in the street. You could go buy a skewer full of all kinds of interesting looking things. I mean, I think it was for eating, but it looked like you could just hang them up on a wall or something like that too. So
I had a scorpion in a tequila bottle once. Same thing, right? Cricket and a beer.
he probably didn't make it, though, did he? Didn't go through that one. Now, I'm trying to find one here on the list, guys, that I'd seen. There is a tobacco stout we're going to see at the festival. Is that right?
Yes. So that's something I put together. I was talking to one of our flavor guys, and he had a cherry tobacco flavor, and I was just like, cherry tobacco? I was like, what would that go with? And I was thinking a bourbon barrel stout, something manly, a cherry tobacco. So I tried it, and personally I loved it, and I talked some people into, talk to Nick, see if I can steal some barrels.
Yeah.
And then, so we tainted a couple barrels with some big heavy stout, put some cherry tobacco in there, and it's pretty tasty if I say so myself.
We had a sample of that, an early batch of that one, and the tobacco notes in it. And I've tasted tobacco notes in beers before, but they didn't necessarily have tobacco. Just those flavors come out in beer sometimes. But if you've never noticed those flavors in a beer, a sweet pipe tobacco, cherry pipe tobacco, adds a really nice character to a beer.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to be a beer that was going to be really good or really bad. Like there wasn't going to be an in-between, and I'm glad with the way it came out.
Good deal. Now, there's a few other beers here that we had on the list. We had some, you make your plans of everything you want to do. It doesn't always make the list. We won't talk about the ones that you just didn't get to brewing, but one that we were kind of looking forward to that didn't quite make the cut for you, Kolsch. You said you brewed that, but it just didn't quite make it, huh?
We did, yeah. We put the list together probably at the beginning of the year because most of the stuff is coming off the pilots, or a lot of the stuff is coming off the pilot system. So we have to pace ourselves on what we're going to do. And yeah, I'm kind of sad to say, but I'm also kind of proud to say that we did brew a Kolsch, and we put it on taste panel. All the brewers sat around and drank it, and this is what we do with all of our products. And we gave it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and this one did not get a thumbs up. So we did not think it was worthy of people who are experiencing the experience tent to sample it. We thought the only thing we can give out is quality, and that didn't make the cut.
I guess it's good to hear that a brewer does that, but it's got to hurt as a brewer to do that and have to dump your beer.
It's rare, but it
yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I think since we've had the pilot system maybe 3 years now, and I think we've dropped 2 of them.
Okay, well that's not bad.
That being one of them.
So I've had a taste of the Groot that you're pouring here at the tap room, and I was wondering with that, really enjoyable, kind of the nice like tea notes to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious with that because a Groot typically doesn't have any hops in it at all. Were there any kind of like mild bittering hops in there for a preservative effect, or is that straight up Groot?
Yes, there was a little bit of hops in the very beginning, but yeah, we're just trying to showcase the lavender, the lemon balm, and the lemongrass.
And it didn't really come out so much in flavor wise. I was just curious about that because they do have a preservative effect, and it kind of makes sense. So
yeah, and it's been a while since I had it, and as I remember, the body was kind of thin too, right? It wasn't really
light.
real beery. Yeah.
But
So,
it was really enjoyable. It drinks really nice.
I think they've had it on tap here for a couple days, and I think the people are liking it.
Yeah, that's and I've had some other Groots, and have not been very impressed. They can be a little weird or a little kind of unbalanced, just because it's such an unusual style. But I think you guys did a really good job with that. That's definitely one I'd recommend people checking out.
It is an unusual style, but I think it's a great style, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see more of them in the future.
Sure.
I mean, especially with all these teas coming out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we came up to the Tack Room, and for those that haven't been recently, the Tap Room here has been fully renovated. They're actually, you probably hear a little bit of it in the background today. They're continuing to work on the final touches of the renovation here, but big change to the Tap Room here for y'all. Expanded it out a lot. The bar moved from against the wall to kind of an open four-sided bar. You have a restaurant now, and the food there is phenomenal. So I had some of the group with a little Korean barbecue cheesesteak a couple weeks ago.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a pretty good pairing there. So definitely worth coming up, checking out. Nice big patio. The one wall of the tap room totally opens up, rolling doors, opens on the patio. They had bands on the little stage out here last time we were here, so pretty cool hangout spot, get you a bite to eat.
Oh yeah, with the weather acting the way it is right now, it's gonna be a great spot.
Yeah,
as long as the pollen isn't too bad, this is a good place to hang out.
You know, I was here, was it Sunday, and it just had a downpour, and it was cool because, you know, they rolled down the glass, so it's actually a great anytime, because then you can sit and just check out the rain dumping down while you're sipping a beer. It's actually really nice. It's very calming. So it works in any season, any weather, I think, at least so far.
Yeah, and Brian, did you see that they will have a Soursop Saison?
I thought I saw something about that. Yes, I'm intrigued by that. That's something I'm seeing more of lately. I think that's something that U.S. brewers or suppliers of fruit to brewers have become aware of that fruit. I used to drink that in Southeast Asia. They chop up the fruit with the big seeds in it. I think they added a bunch of sugar to it, but that was a great beverage, and just turning that into a beer makes so much sense to me.
And yeah, I think with the Saison style, it just goes really well because it's almost like I mean, for lack of a better term, almost like a skunky almost sort of, because it's so, you know, it's just so strong, and the aroma and the flavor. It went really well with the barrel-aged Saison that we had, and we're also showcasing a lot of, you know, fruits that aren't really commonly used in brewing, American brewers, like the Kariba, which is basically a passion fruit and banana combo, and then lulo, which is a Colombian fruit that's it's kind of like a small orange, but the flesh is green. And it comes off kind of like it's got lime and like rhubarb flavors. Cheers. So super crushable in a Berliner. So that's
Is Tim over there eating?
Did you go for it?
Nick, I don't care for those. I don't care for those.
It'll make you live longer.
I'm gonna keep them in the beer. In the beer. Whew.
Were they spicy, Tim?
Nick ate one first, so I felt safe in following his lead. Maybe I shouldn't have fell for that.
It's like real powdery. To me, I got a little citrus out of it.
It's very, you know what? I get a little citrus note, earthy, really earthy.
Right, well, obviously it's earthy. Yeah.
I guess if everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Peer pressure.
If you start rubbing your legs together, don't blame me.
I don't hate it. Yeah, I actually don't hate it. It's crunchy. A little bit of I get the hops. I get the hops there because it's been sitting in hops in that jar. It almost has an aroma and a flavor of hops, which makes it more palatable to me.
I think now is a good time to drink
right over there.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
To drink and talk about this Fruition's Fire with peaches and jalapenos, which is the perfect thing to burn this cricket off of my tongue.
Right, yeah. Bring on the burn.
Burn it with fire.
Nick, can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so, you know, same thing. You know, we were talking to the band, seeing like, you know, what they like drinking, and you know, they were kind of more on the they weren't all about the IPAs as much, which is, you know, kind of a relief since like IPAs are so popular.
Right. Yeah.
So that was really cool that, you know, that we were kind of like already vibing on that. They decided they wanted to do something with jalapenos, and you know, it's like Berliner would probably be great, and they said, yeah, exactly what we were thinking. And then they said peaches. So we already have Peach Love and Happiness, so that kind of like worked out perfectly for logistics. So basically what we did was we took some of the peach love, we transferred it to a tank and basically dry hopped it with about 5 pounds of fresh cut jalapenos. So you get like, you know, more of the green aspect of the jalapeno, the flavor, and you get a little bit of the burn, but it's more like on the back end. And if you drink like a whole one, you know, you might start getting the burn, but you know, we are going for drinkability. So,
you know, I've had a few sips here, and you get most, like you said, that green jalapeno flavor. And we've tried jalapeno beers that use them roasted, green. You know, all of them give a little bit of a different flavor. You know, whether or not you leave the veins and seeds and everything.
Oh, we left them all in there. Yep.
Stem seeds and everything.
Just put it in, grind it up, and put them in, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we had a good time. I had a good time with Mimi from Fruition, adding all those to the top. We actually did it during our anniversary party, so it was even more fun.
So some beers were involved.
Some beers were involved.
Brewing and drinking beers, having a good time.
I'm a fan of the jalapeno flavor there. That's nice. That came through real nice.
It did. It worked out really well.
Kind of makes me want Jamaican or barbecue food. I can't decide what. I'm talking like a jerk chicken or something.
Go ask Chef Nick.
Yeah, that's what it makes me want. That so.
Yeah, it goes really well with the peach.
So I see you're doing a brewed IPA as well.
Yep, we've been playing with the brewed IPA. That's just basically typical IPA, but you know, it finishes down to nothing. So it's going to be refreshing but dry and hop forward flavorful.
This is a question I always ask, or I usually ask when somebody talks about brewing a brewed IPA. I'm always curious, when do you add the enzymes? Are you adding it in the mash, or are you adding it in the tank after the fact?
Mash.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like a 50-50 split on whether or not people want to do it the one way or the other, and which is the best. And
yeah, we're still playing with it. The thing about adding it in the tank is you just can, you know, contaminate all the tank or the hoses or the hardware and everything.
True. Yeah.
So it's much safer to do it in the mash where the boil can cook it off.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they've come out. We've done 3 batches so far, and they've come out pretty good.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Nick, thanks for joining us today, guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your crickets. That was very nice of you to do.
Come on.
But come on out to 420 Fest this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Atlanta, Georgia. We do apologize if there's a little background noise. It's the sounds of the city here, construction, all that going on. Some of the other beers you'll want to look for in the experience tent. We'll let this truck drive by.
It's the fire truck.
There we
Fire
go,
truck.
the fire truck. You'll have a dry hop Berliner there, a couple different dry hop Berliners, right, with different hops and fruits, a couple of just fruited Berliners. We've got the barrel-aged guide beer you were talking about earlier, a strained Saison with some terpenes in there, and there will actually be several other of the 420 strain beers that people can try in the
we'll be
tent, right?
showcasing like a whole new batch of strain beers.
Blue Yum Yum, I think I see. And
we got Blue Yum Yum with a blue base. We did a dry hop Berliner with what is it? Sour Diesel. Sorry. Yeah, Sour D on the dry hop front, and then and then the strain Saison. So it's gonna be like a slightly skunky Saison for people who like those.
So the blue, Sweetwater Blue with terpenes, that's intriguing to me.
It's yum yum.
Yeah, that sounds like yum yum.
Good stuff. Well, guys, thanks again for joining us, telling us all about these beers. 420 Fest, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Tim. My co-host Ron with Beer Guys Radio. Cheers.
Cheers.
Toodles.
So, Nick, I think this is a good time to start the interview. We're drinking a little I-4PA here, right?
They're coming for the Fruition.
It's a great beer.
The jalapeno beer.
It's really good stuff. I think we're really enjoying it. I think that was some solid timing on starting this interview, wasn't it?
That's good stuff.
I couldn't hear anything while they went past, and I still can't hear anything.